On November 1st, Klay Thompson hit a clutch game winner against the Sacramento Kings that absolutely electrified a sold-out arena filled with 18,000 NBA fans.
Klay for the win!
This was a crazy shot. I mean, down one, at home, with mere seconds left on the game clock and with defenders draped all over him. When the ball went through the hoop, instinctively, these words came out of my mouth. Splash, splash, butter, baby. ESPN went crazy over this. It was all they could talk about. The slogan immediately went from Bay Area to Klay Area. As far as they were concerned, 2019 All-Star Klay was back. A few games later, however, as shooters inevitably do, Klay got into a slump, which was then magnified like 1,000 times because CP3 and Wiggins were also slumping, and the Warriors as a team were losing games right, left, and center. Well, the media noticed this, and just listen to what they had to say.
There's more here than just a slump. This is not just a slump.
It's actually time for Golden State to move on from Klay Thompson.
Yeah, you heard that right, guys. As soon as they smelled a bit of blood, they went crazy trying to destroy Klay Thompson. I mean, what the heck does "this is not just a slump" even mean? And my favorite of all, it's time for Golden State to move on from Klay Thompson? Here's the cherry on the top. Do y'all know who they suggested Klay be traded for? This is absolute gold, guys, so you'll have to listen to this.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris, guys. Perkins suggested the Warriors trade Klay Thompson for Tobias Harris. Now, to be fair, Toby ain't a bad player. I mean, I'm not trying to shoot any strays towards his direction, but that has got to be the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard Perkins say. Funny enough, as soon as he uttered those words, all I could think of was Jimmy Butler.
Tobias Harris over me?
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, and that's exactly what we're going to get into today. He's not the same player he used to be. He's washed. He can't shoot anymore. He can't play defense anymore. These seem to be the NBA media's point of emphasis against Klay, but the million-dollar question is, how valid are they? I mean, if they're true, then Kendrick Perkins and the talking heads might have a point, but if they aren't, then I think it's fair to say that ESPN owes Klay an apology. Well, as Jay-Z once said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So that's exactly what we're going to look at today when dissecting how valid the media's claims on Klay actually are. And with that being said, let's first turn our attention towards what everybody loves, offense. From 2015 to 2019, during the 5-year span where Klay was a perennial All-Star selection, the Splash Brother averaged 21 points while shooting 47% from the field, 42% from three, and 85% at the line. Those numbers were good enough for him to be the undisputed number 2 option on the best regular season team in NBA history. Well, check this out. Through his first 5 games of the 2024 season, before going on the slump, Klay's points dipped a tiny bit from 21 to about 17, but look at the efficiency. Nearly 48% from the field, 43% from three, and, well, the size sample is kind of small, so I won't even include the fact that he was 100% at the free throw line. In other words, to start the season, from the numbers, offensively, he was vintage Klay. Unfortunately, the media loves negativity because, well, negativity sells. 35% from the field and just 27% from three was what he shot for an 8-game stretch. I'll admit those numbers are pretty ugly and it was a pretty bad slump. But man, how can they just go ahead and say something as preposterous as,
there's more here than just a slump. This is not just a slump.
This is not just a slump. You know, that's probably the funniest thing I've heard all day, to be honest. From this day forward, I'm going to remember Michael Wilbon as Michael, this is just not a slump, Wilbon. I mean, we all know that every good shooter goes on streaks where they can't buy a bucket to save their life. Like, Ray Allen once went on a streak of 5 games where he shot just 17% from 3. Imagine they traded him in that slump. Reggie Miller once went on a 9-game streak where he shot just 12.5% from 3. Imagine they traded him in that slump. James Harden once went on a 6-game streak where he shot under 18% from 3. Damian Lillard once went on an 8-game streak where he shot under 20% from 3. And heck, even Steph Curry once had 2 streaks of 4 games where he shot under 25% from 3. These are all just about as bad as Klay's current slump, but hey, we didn't hear the media at the time saying that this is not just a slump or this player needs to be traded. I have no idea what the NBA media is thinking when they say this type of stuff. I mean, it seems like a lackadaisical attempt at character assassination or something. But moving on, let's next look at the one area where the media may have half a point: defense. In this category, after 2 devastating leg injuries, it's clear he's no longer the defensive beast he used to be. But come on, neither is LeBron James, and neither is Kawhi Leonard. Klay may have lost that quick lateral speed which allowed him to guard the most elite players in the league, but standing at 6'6" with a 6'9" wingspan, and with all the basketball acumen that once upon a time had him on the all-defensive team, the man can still defend. Then, looking at the analytics, here's where things get a bit funny. So, as of today, Klay still has a better defensive rating than stars like DeJounte Murray, Devin Booker, Ben Simmons, Tyrese Halliburton, and LaMelo Ball. But yet, we don't hear that these players should be traded based on their levels of defense. Are y'all seeing why the media's idea of trading Klay is laughable? Especially for Tobias Harris? I mean, can y'all imagine the Golden State Warriors trading one of their dynasty cornerstones, one of their cultural icons of the greatest team in modern NBA history, for Tobias Harris? The media is hilarious. That line by Perkins really should go on Shaqtin' a Fool. Because the truth of the matter is, after 2 devastating leg injuries, under the right circumstances, Klay is still one of the best shooters in the NBA. Like, if you watch the games and closely observe, when Klay's in rhythm and has time to shoot, he's still just as good as the best of them, if not better. The form is still there, the release is still on point, and trust me when I say that he's still on every team's scouting report. And because of that, he's still able to impact the game even when he's not scoring. Here's what I mean. In this play here, as CP3 throws the ball over to Klay, one defender had to try and fight over the screen to get to him, while Chet Holmgren, the 7-footer, also had to close out to him because they know that a wide-open Klay is bad news. And as a result, it allowed Looney a free roll to the rim for the easy bucket. The same thing happens here, where both defenders close out to Klay in fear of him getting open, and as a result, it leads to a wide-open shot. And in case you're not completely sold yet, let me quickly show you one of the last set of analytics here, which may shock you. Look, when Klay's wide open, he actually shoots slightly better than 50% on threes. When Klay's just catching and shooting threes, he's at nearly 40%. And if he takes either 0 or 1 dribble from the perimeter, again, the number is 40%. Do y'all know just how good these sets of data are? I mean, in layman's terms, he's pretty much as automatic as they come. So why the heck would any team want to trade someone who's this deadly from three-point range? Ain't that one of the silliest things you've ever heard? Shot selection is all Klay has to work on. Once he realizes that he's his worst enemy, and once he plays towards his strengths instead of forcing shots, and once Steph and CP3 figure out ways to get him clean looks, sheesh guys, the Warriors are gonna go nuts, and the media is gonna look absolutely silly. This is not just a slump. I think it's time for Golden State to move on from Klay Thompson. In a couple of weeks, these two lines are gonna sound very ludicrous.